Anime Milwaukee blew us away last year. Did it still stand up this year? This video is powered by upcomingcons.com. For all things conventions, head over there. There is a link in the description. Anime Milwaukee is a medium-sized con held in, well, Milwaukee. It's held in Milwaukee's Hyatt and Convention Center, which are connected by a skywalk. This location's really nice and holds the con perfectly. The only thing I will say is that parts of the Hyatt can be really dark, so some pictures may not come out bright enough for you to see. Also, parking at the Hyatt can be rather expensive, even with the con rate, so bring some extra money. Finally, do note that there is a mall across the street from the convention center. It has a food court, so if you're planning to go next year, you might want to go and find the mall so you have somewhere to eat. As for registration, it was unbelievably slow. We had 15 people in front of us and it took an hour and a half, but this was on Thursday. I heard that by Friday it was basically fixed and people were getting through much faster than last year. All of the events seemed to start right on time, at least the ones we went to did. Opening ceremonies was sped up compared to last year. They got us in and right back out to enjoy the con. I also want to mention the Cosplay Combat Chess. I mentioned it last year, but this is a really cool panel where cosplayers act out as chess pieces, get on stage, and fight. It really should not be missed. All of the staff that we ran into seemed to be very nice. The only weird thing was that early Friday, some of the convention center employees were telling people they couldn't bring their props in, but it got worked out before it became a huge problem. I should mention that I thought it was pretty cool that they had a talent floor set up in the Hyatt. If you head there at night, you can almost guarantee you'll see people breakdancing. The dealer's room was a step up, which is saying something because it was already pretty great last year. It really helped that they expanded it and gave everyone more room to walk. Main events was also a step up. Last year it was in the Hyatt, but this year it was in what seemed to be a bigger room in the convention center. They moved the game room to the Hyatt, in the room where main events used to be. This allowed for them to have a lot more games in there, and it ended up being one of the best game rooms I've ever been to. If you want to know who set it all up, I'll have their names in the description. Their biggest event, the Cosplay Contest, went very smooth. Sometimes cosplay contests can have a lot of problems, but this seemed to go great. They also had a very cool video that was made during the con that played during intermission. It was one of the best con-made videos I've ever seen. Anime Milwaukee also has an amazing Maid Cafe, which can be found on the top floor of the Hyatt. If you go to Anime Milwaukee, please don't miss this Maid Cafe. It is extremely well done and is a must-see at this con. Finally, the rave on Saturday was very good. A few of the DJs ended up not being able to make it. Jeff Ito, the man in charge of putting the rave together, pulled everything out perfectly. You would have never guessed it didn't go exactly as planned. If you want to check any of these DJs out, they were Theotoxin, DJ Tetsuo, Jiminy Cricket, Bad Corey, and Jeff Ito. Thanks for the great rave, guys. Before I get into scoring everything, I do want to say that now that I've seen way more cons and learned a lot more about cons, my scoring is going to be a little bit more harsh. So just because something gets a lower score than it used to, doesn't mean it's worse. I just felt as though I was being too nice with my scoring. For reference, if it used to be a 10, it would now be a 9. Everything just shifts down 1 point. Unless it's just that good, in which case it'll be higher than a 9. The size of this con is medium. Location gets a 9 out of 10. The location is very good. It holds the con perfectly. Only little problem is that sometimes the hotel is very dark and can make it hard to take pictures if you don't have a very nice camera. Organization gets an 8.5 out of 10. Everything seemed to be very well organized. The biggest problem was registration, which I heard was fixed later on, but I can only go off of my experience, and for me, it was horrific. The dealer's room gets a 9.5 out of 10. The dealer's room was a step up from last year. There was something in there for everyone, and it wasn't nearly as crowded. But they had weird problems with bag checks. Half the time, they would make me take off my bag and fill it up with stuff before I could go in. Then other times, when it was clearly empty, they wouldn't even say anything. Just be more consistent one way or the other. The game room gets a 10 out of 10. Everything about the game room was great. They had almost anything you might want to play, and if you didn't see it, they had a system to rent out games from behind their desk. All you had to do was let them hold your badge. Panels get a 9.5 out of 10. Every panel I went to started right on time. I also love that they do panels that you don't see at every con, like Cosplay Combat Chess. Guests get a 7.5 out of 10. I felt that the guests they had were the weak point of this convention. Yes, they had some great people there, but it seemed like a step down from last year. They seemed to have a lot less guests and didn't have any musical guests. Not a huge deal, but more guests, and especially musical guests, would really help this con next year. Staff gets a 9.5 out of 10. All of the con staff was great and very helpful. I only knocked half a point off because the staff of the convention center seemed to not have all the con rules communicated to them clearly before the start of the con. The rave gets a 10 out of 10. The rave was a lot of fun and went off without a hitch. All the DJs did great, and everyone seemed to be having fun up until the end. Keep having Jeff Ito run your rave, and I'm sure it will continue to be top notch. At the end of the day, Anime Milwaukee 2015 was a very good con. We all had a lot of fun, and very few problems popped up. I give Anime Milwaukee 2015 a well-deserved 8.8. Just to really push the point home so you can see how this compares to other cons I've already reviewed, before changing my scoring system, this con would have been a 9.8, so it was a step up from last year. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching the review. You can click on the screen to jump over to either the music video, the tour, or to start up the vlogs. And while you're at it, don't forget to check out upcomingcons.com. I'll see you guys at the next con.